YouTube video by Dots Are Cool. That volume's kind of loud, but that's okay. Just ignore it. So what you're basically seeing is he was going back and forth and rearranging objects in the object attribute map to basically write opcodes in RAM in such a way that when we did certain things, it treated the location in memory that the controller is stored in as something it should execute, and it did exactly that. It ran what we put on the controller and allowed us to, well, you can either trigger the credits or you can take it one step further and do crazy stuff. But that's not good enough. This ran at 184 kilobits per second, which is nice. You know, it's cool, but we can do better, and we're going to. So I'll need to restart, which means that it's probably going to mess up the video. One of the interesting things about the original consoles is that they are running at a resolution best described as 240p. They played trickery with CRT TVs. So we have had a lot of trouble getting capture to work. It's actually been a bit of a pain. So I just erased the save game, and that's going to prepare me for doing another run. Let's see. All right, here we go. So this is the same game, and this time, oh good, the video isn't rolling right off the top. Okay, this is good. If we're lucky, it'll stick with us unless we switch consoles. So this is the exact same game, but if you're able to see it, you'll notice that the video is going to be using slightly different technique. This is a different exploit than the first one. Yes, there's more than one way to blow up Super Mario World. And this one is going to use a slightly different technique. So one of my earlier slides, I was talking about the different devices that we have. Well, the newest device we have is a board called a Tasslink board, and has a very high data rate. The previous boards made by somebody named True, who's actually a DEF CON regular, True's board was able to hit 184 kilobits per second based on his multi-replay board. This one is using an FPGA from Papilio, and we're able to achieve data rates of much higher than that, which you'll see here in a second as soon as he gets done screwing around with this charging check. Right about here. I love this scene right here. Just watch what he does with this check.
Escogemos solo a la flor y nada. ¿Listo para trabajar? ¿Enfrentarte a nuevos desafíos? ¿Convertirte en algo que nunca habías soñado? Habla con tu supervisor para ver si cumples con lo que tienes que hacer realmente.
That is an image that was written through the console at 900 and I want to say 920 kilobits per second. Keep in mind that the maximum rate that these consoles usually ran at was about 480 bytes per second, and that was like the most. So for us to shove that much data through it is kind of impressive. I'm amazed that this console manages to hold up. I need to actually back up a little bit and cover a few things that I skipped over. So I'll just go through. There were a bunch of early console devices. True was the first person to attach a console and get it to do button presses. And it's actually a very simple protocol, especially for the original Nintendo. One of the things I was going to talk about during the original video I filmed, there's only 5 wires. There's just 5 volts and ground. There's a latch wire that says, latch, hey controller, I'm about to ask you what buttons you're pressing. Clock, give me the first button. Is A being pressed? 1 or high voltage if yes, none or 0 for no. And the only other line is a serial data line out from the controller sending that information back to the console. So what this guy here does is pays attention to that feed and sends appropriate responses. So the first device that this was tested with was all the way back in 2009 in a board from True. But in 2011, someone named Micro 500, who built also this Tasslink board, Micro 500 made a device called the NES bot that based on a breadboard you can see here in the lower corner that was able to complete Super Mario Bros. 1. And it was used at one of the very early Summer Games Done Quick events to Wizards and Warriors 3 and Super Mario Bros. 2, although somewhat comically. And by the way, what you see on the screen, I know it's really tiny, but there's just a very few number of people in the audience. This was one of the early Summer Games Done Quick events that didn't have very many people. Now this room would be looking a little bit more like DEF CON here. But there were a couple of other boards. There was a Droid 64 bot that could do N64 games, and Micro 500 made one of his own in 2012 using a propeller board. But a taskbot, this guy here, a Rob holding a random device with Legos on it, that kind of happened a little bit later. So in 2013, we